Welcome back, everybody. I know it's been a little while since I've made a video, so I figured I'd give you one today. Today it's going to be on a couple products that I've been testing. It's been some budget weapon lights. And if you see me looking down a lot, it's because I've got a couple notes on these things because I can't remember everything about them. It's not a lot, but I've had them for so long that it's hard to remember. So the first one I've got for you today is on my 6 hour. It is clear, there's no magazine in, chamber is clear. So if I'm pointing it at the camera or at myself, it is completely safe. I wouldn't do this unless I was 100% sure there's no ammunition anywhere near them. So for this here, this one is the Sightmark, what is this one called? The Sightmark ReadyFire G6. These are going for about $27, I think, $27.82 on Amazon. This does use 2 small button batteries in the bottom. Just has a push button switch, so you can see there you got a red laser. I don't know if you can see it. Let's see. Put it on me there, if you can see that. But it's just an on-off switch. It has a 7-hour continuous runtime on it. It's very easy to activate with your finger, deactivate there. It's been doing really well. It's held 0 through all of the rounds I've put through it. This one is got a 357 SIG barrel in it, which I did a video on over a year ago. I also have the 40 Smith & Wesson barrel for it, and I swap them back and forth depending on ammo availability. I do have some 357 SIG. I've got a lot more 40s. So I kind of switch back and forth between them depending on what I'm doing. And it has held 0 through everything that I've put through it, through hundreds of rounds of both. No complaints out of it. It is just a very basic little rail mounted laser. Nothing special about it, but it is on the budget end. I know that you can go way up higher than, $26 for a laser. I don't really need to see the need in it. Especially something that's just going to be used for around the house, home defense type thing. And I don't take it out anywhere with the laser on it. I don't generally like using lasers, but the place where I work, I get asked a lot about lasers and do they work and do I like them, so I figured I'd get a few and try them. So that is one that I picked up on Amazon. I actually sell it in my store. Or not my store, but the company I work for sells them, and they're selling them for like 45, 50 bucks, and you can get them on Amazon for 26. So I hate to say it like that, but I'm trying to save you guys money as well as make money myself. So if you come into the stores and you find it, you want it because it's there now, you're going to pay a premium for it. I don't see the need in it. They do work good. It's accurate. Again, it holds 0, it's fully adjustable windage and elevation. No issues with that one. So moving on to the next one that I have is actually a Firefield, and this one is the Firefield Battletech. So it is a light and laser combo. They also make one that's a light, a green laser, and an infrared. I don't have any use for infrared, so I just went with the green laser and the light. The light on this is 150 lumens. It's definitely not the brightest thing in the world, but it gets the job done. Again, it is clear, a magazine, everything there. So with this one actually comes with a pressure pad built into it instead of a slide switch. So one press turns it on, one press turns it off. And I'll show you a little feature of that. So if I'm pointing this at you, turn it on, there is a green laser. And that one actually has the flashlight and the laser. There is a switch on the bottom that turns the flashlight off, so you get just the green laser. You can have laser and flashlight or flashlight only. Even at 150 lumens, this thing is actually pretty bright. It has a kind of a focused beam out there, so it doesn't just spread out and then wash out as it goes out. It actually has a decently bright light that is in a focused beam, and for everything that I've done with it out to 25, 30 yards, I can see fine with it. Of course, the beam does spread out, but again, it works like it's supposed to. It works perfectly fine for anything that I would use it for home defense and all that. One neat feature about this is that if you're using the light by itself in the continuous mode, the battery will last for 1.5 hours. In strobe mode, which is a push and hold, and you can see it turns the strobe on there. I'm not going to flash it too much at the camera there, but let's turn that off. And on strobe, it lasts for 1 hour, so it cuts it down by 30 minutes. The laser in continuous is a 2.5 hour battery life, laser only, and 5 hour battery life on the strobe. And if you're using both the laser and the light together continuously, it only has a 50-minute battery life. Now, it's not the greatest in the world, it's definitely not the worst. I've seen some of the little cheap Chinese stuff. I mean, this is cheap Chinese, but some of the other cheap Chinese ones that will give you maybe 20-30 minutes of battery life. I've been playing with this one for about 4 months, and I've changed the batteries on it once. The batteries on this one are, it's a single battery. It's a camera flash battery, I believe it's like a CR123. It's one of those, looks like it's kind of fat like a AA, but it's really short. Let's see if I can pop that out right quick. Yeah, it's one of these little guys here. So is that a CR or is it just a 120? Yeah. Oh, it's a CR2. I apologize. I don't know where I got the 123 from. But it's a CR2 battery is what it uses. It's just a single battery, and again, you get the life expectancy on it depends on how much you're using it. So just for quick little, I gotta make sure I'm actually putting that in the right one. I don't remember how it came out. This is gonna be interesting. But depending on how long you've got it on for, I'm not gonna be walking around for an hour looking for something. And I put it in backwards. That's nice. So I'm not going to be walking around for a whole hour looking for something around the house. If they're in the house and the house is dark, they're going to get lit up. And if I don't have any need to turn it on, I'm not turning it on. There we go. So the last light I have for you is not actually a weapon light. It is a light that I put on a weapon because I wanted a flashlight on my home defense rifle. And I didn't have one, and I wasn't going to spend tons of money on a flashlight, and I wanted something that was dependable, but not cheap Chinese, made out of plastic, and I didn't want anything super high-end. Even people consider like Olights and stuff like that to be sort of a budget option. That to me is still too expensive for a flashlight. So here's what I did. I went out, and years ago, I bought this several years ago, and they're still available for about $45 online. This is a Maglite XL50 with a 1 1/8 inch scope ring mounted to the side rail. It is 200 lumens. It is a focus beam. It has 3 modes. So you can see there is the bright setting, and a double click will give me a lower, about half power, and then a click turns it off, and then 3 clicks is a strobe. So that works perfectly fine for me. As you can see, I have it on my 300 Blackout rifle, and it seems to work just fine. It's nice and sturdy, doesn't go anywhere, doesn't wiggle, doesn't wobble, and the scope ring isn't so tight around it that I can't remove the battery pack. So on this one, I don't use the rechargeable batteries. This one uses 3 AAAs. Battery life on this one, let me see, does it tell me what the battery life is on it? It actually doesn't say what the battery life is on it for whatever reason when I looked it up. Get back in there. Okay. But this particular light is approved by the National Tactical Officers Association. They're going for $45.88 on Amazon right now. So for something budget, and then again, the scope rings were like $10 at Walmart for a set of 2. So, you know, it works. I have no complaints over it. And it has a tail cap switch on it, so you just hit it with your thumb there, on and off. And with my little angled foregrip on it, I like the angled ones better than the vertical ones. My thumb sits, if you see that, perfectly in line with it, so I can hit the button. On, off, yeah, it works. So, yeah, turn it on, turn it off, strobe mode, turn it back off. So everything works fine for me. So that's just what I wanted to bring you guys. If some of you are looking for something that's not really going to break the bank, but it's still going to be good enough to use when you need it, something that you can trust when you need it to be there. I don't know that I would trust either of these two. It's nice to have another alternative, excuse me, alternative aiming device, but like with this one has night sights, front and rear night sights. So I have 0 issues with seeing those at night, even though I am blind in one eye. And I can still pick up the sights very, very easily in bright light, low light, no light, because they're tritium sights. The laser is just an add-on, so I wouldn't really rely 100% on a laser sight. On this one, the favorite feature on this is the flashlight, to be honest with you. If I can find just a flashlight by itself that was that size, that would be great. The only reason I did get this, like I said, is because people are always asking about lasers, and we do sell these at my job as well. So these are going for $74, 75. What was it? These are going for $74.99, so $75 on Amazon. The store that I work for, they're selling these things for like $150 for the green laser and the flashlight. So buy the stuff on Amazon if you can wait a couple days for shipping, to be honest with you. I don't really see their big deal in them. I mean, again, they're nice, but they're not anything that I would say is a game changer in any way from just using the gun the way that it comes. Anyway, that's my thoughts. It's my picks for budget options that are still good, are still usable. They hold 0 perfectly well. I've put a lot of rounds in all of these. And this Maglite I bought when they originally came out, I think in the early mid-2000s. So I've had that longer than I've been married. I've been married for 10 years. So I've had that like for a very long time. It still works. I haven't had any issues with it. I've gone through loads and loads and loads of batteries. It hasn't let me down yet. So if you guys are interested in them, like I said, you can find them on Amazon. You can find the flashlight that I've got on the rifle at Walmart and Lowe's. The 2 lasers you can find in most of your big box stores. If you have, like in my area, we have a few. There's a Dunham Sports. There's a Cabela's. There's an Academy a few miles down the road. These things are all over the place. They generally are a little bit cheaper than your bigger name brands like your Streamlights and your Olights and whatever other brands might be out there. But the Sightmarks, the Firefields, they're usually pretty cheap. As a matter of fact, the sight on my rifle here is a Firefield XL. Right here. I like it. It's just a basic red dot. Of course, I still have my backup sights on there, just in case it ever, does die on me. But it hasn't yet. I have had to replace the batteries on it one time, but I can tell that they never went out. They just started getting low. You could tell that on the brightest setting it was a little dimmer, so I went ahead and changed them. Don't really know what the battery life is on this. I've never actually counted the hours. It lasts as long as I take it out and shoot it, and I stored it one time with the light on. I forgot to turn it off. and 2-3 days later it was still on. It wasn't on the brightest setting, it was kind of on a medium one. So it'll last at least a few days being left on, and I had to change the battery after that. But these are pretty simple. I think the batteries on this is a 2032 battery, I believe it is. Just a single button cell. Yeah, it's a 2032. And I believe these are actually pretty cheap on Amazon too, but I picked mine up in the store that I work at and it was 70 bucks. Something like that, $70, $80, something like that. It wasn't horribly bad. It wasn't the cheapest one they had. It definitely wasn't the most expensive one they had. The cheaper one they had was about $40, but it was real small and thin. Actually, I think I have one around here somewhere. Excuse me. I've got one of these somewhere. Yep, right here. So the smaller one they sell is like this one here. It's just real small, basic. Still has the same functionality and all. This one's actually mounted on a little air gun for a little while, so I've got a little rail section on the bottom of it that goes from a dovetail to a Picatinny mount. Little adapter. That's why it looks kind of funky there. So this one is actually on an air rifle. So I have a dovetail mount to a Picatinny so that I can mount it. And this one does have the little laser built onto the side. Again, I don't even use it, but the thing on here, it's got the 4 reticles just like the other one does. This one is a cheap Amazon Fiachi or whatever. But the fire fields are made the same way. So they're just a lot smaller. I went with the basically like the armored that's got a bigger cover over it to keep it from getting damaged. And of course it is on a real rifle, not just an air gun, so I wanted something a little bit beefier. I went with the medium grade one. They also have an XLT model, I believe it is, that has the quick release lever on the side of it. Mine is just Allen keys. So anyway, those are my picks. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you next time.